So when the first lockdown announcement was made in March 2020, the school's main priority was very much about ensuring student wellbeing through effective communication and providing resources and opportunities for students and families as well to seek advice and help when they needed it.
I believe that Gangnam College has done well regarding to supporting the students in lockdowns, especially for the year 12s. But as much as I hate to say this, it is still an to issue that's pretty going on with every single school really, is that there's not enough support for us. It's not the same with the face-to-face education. You basically alone in a room studying. You feel more supported if you get contact in person. And yeah, it's not the Gangnam College's fault, but it's still an ongoing issue that we're not getting enough support because we can't. Like they can't either.
The school definitely tries their best to get any sort of support for the students, but it's kind of irrelevant, honestly.
The school has created ways of trying to keep students feeling connected to the school. So doing, some activities via things like Instagram. The school has created a wellbeing page that students can go to access resources. Things like that have been helpful as well, I think, for students.
In terms of the pastoral care space, the pastoral care team made sure that we were available on a weekly basis for students to drop in, check in, say hi, have a chat, tell us how they're feeling. We also came up with a bit of a challenge, an online remote challenge each week. The purpose and the aim was not to add stress to the students' life. We wanted to be fun. We wanted them to just let loose a bit, especially in such stressful times. And so the challenges were, included everything from colouring in to 10,000 steps to TikTok challenges as well. And we were also able to celebrate days like Reconciliation Week, as well as Ida Hobbit Day, and commemorate Anzac Day as well during that period.
There are some classes I actually enjoy in, since they are they really care for the students, and I believe face-to-face like FaceTime and Zoom and Google Meeting really helps me sometimes.
I think having the opportunity for students to log on at a particular time and access a teacher or a course convener has been something that's been very helpful for students. And having work that students can complete independently, but then having that opportunity to check in with the teacher has been something that's also been helpful as well.
The principal also released videos on a weekly basis to communicate to the school community with updates and just to provide that personal connection with parents and students and staff as well, which can be quite comforting. The ACT Directorate has been quite supportive. This time around with the lockdown, they were very quick to produce and create resources ready to go. I think they had a lot more time to do that this year than last year, which I think has been a great help to particularly the primary school and secondary schools. For colleges, it's a bit trickier because there are so many more subjects, but I think by producing those materials, it has been effective in lessening the pressure and giving the school teachers more time to come up and create their own resources.
I think that perhaps in thinking about the two lockdowns, one last year in 2020 and one this year in 2021, I think that one thing that became quite obvious to a lot of teachers was that students didn't have the same capacity to engage in such large amounts of learning when they're working remotely. So one of the things that I tried to do last year and this year was just to reduce the amount of content that I was actually teaching per week.
With the adaptation of this remote learning, I don't really feel too bad about it. Even though we have all the time in during lockdowns, I feel like it's much harder to complete all the work.
I understand, that students are under the pump with work, and so trying to make sure that we're not adding too much to that workload and getting that right amount of engagement without feeling overwhelmed is also the other challenge that I think teachers can find difficulty with. I think we have been a lot better at it this time around than before. Like from feedback that I get from students, it seems like there's a lot less students who feel overwhelmed with the work this time around, which is great news.
I can be on track for 5 minutes and then see something that happens, or feeling hungry, so I might get some food, but there's too many distractions for me. Online learning is just so different to in-person classes.
Since all the assignments were pushed back, that means a lot of assignments were very close, and each due date was pretty close to others as well, and I struggled a lot. There was this one assignment that I started 5 hours before it was due. I was able to get it in, but that was one of my difficulties, where there were so many works that I couldn't even start on the assignments even though it was due like 3 or 2 days.
My lockdown learning consists of attending the Google Meets, sitting down for like however long the class goes for, and then trying to get my work done.
I am stressed about any work that I got. I was stressed about it because I knew I couldn't get them in time, or I couldn't start it in time for me to feel like I deserve a break.
I think this time we have tried to put more things in place just to make sure that students know that they are supported, and we are so lucky that we have a registered psychologist available, and he's been available throughout both lockdowns to work with students remotely, and that's something that's been really important as well. COVID-19 lockdown has had a negative impact on a lot of students' well-being. I think being isolated from their peers has made it really difficult, and just having to learn online. I don't think it's a format that is great for all students.
It's not the same like it's face-to-face contact. It is extremely hard for me to be motivated and trying to get good grades, especially since we are all year 12. The pressure is on.
I just feel like I'm doing work that is meaningless, and so my effort is pretty meaningless, which really sucks.
In terms of the difference between the two lockdowns, I think something that quite concerned me this time is that working in wellbeing, I definitely saw a lot of negative impacts on students' mental health from the last lockdown, and I've been very concerned about those mental health problems perhaps becoming worse and being exacerbated by the second lockdown. So I think that, and I think that that's something that our school is aware of, and I think even just the general public are becoming a bit more aware now of the importance of mental health.
I don't feel great. School's just so difficult. Lockdown's difficult. Life's difficult.
It is extremely difficult to adapt quickly, and you can't adapt quickly with this kind of learning. It is very long term and you have to get used to it.
I think one of the things that has helped us at Gungahlin College is that we do already use online systems. So having Google Classrooms in place allowed the switch from face-to-face to remote learning to happen fairly seamlessly. And also a lot of the staff are very well trained in regards to technology. So in terms of shifting the way that we teach to an online format, it actually happened, I think, fairly well.
From my personal perspective as a teacher, the greatest challenge to remote learning that I have found is trying to create the same vibe or energy that we usually get from in like a face-to-face class in a remote learning online Google Meet, where a lot of cameras are off and everybody's on mute, and it just seems like you're talking to yourself half of the time.
Schools definitely adapted, especially since the last lockdown. But I mean, we're just shifted online, and it's working for some people, not so much for others.
When you're in lockdown, you're in a comfort space. You are in your bed or even in your desk. Even in your room, you do stuff that you want to do, not you need to do.
It's definitely for me the engagement and the vibrant feel of the classroom is definitely missing for me when it comes to the online learning stuff. So yeah, if students can at least turn the cameras on, that will be great.